Arthur again. Today we're going to take a look at this 2018 BMW 330i, and we're going to talk about the valve cover replacement job on this model. I looked up and there was pretty much no videos on them. There is a video on the 6-cylinder version of the valve cover replacement, but now there are 4. I'm just going to go over and show some of the details, what's needed to do this job. This is the first one actually I have done. I've done hundreds of valve covers previously, but this is the first 330i B48 engine car that I've done. From what dealer parts department friends of mine told me, that there is actually seems like there's not a very common issue yet, because the cars are pretty new, so they don't sell really that many valve covers for those cars. But this one has 80,000 miles and it started to leak, so it was time to replace it, as well as it was having a issue with the oil consumption. So I recommended to replace the complete valve cover as of with the PCV, possibly compromised with 80,000 miles. It could be experiencing oil consumption, so we just went ahead and did that. So this is the 330i in question, 2018. This car has been here a few times before, for a few different repairs and services, mainly for coolant leaks, which are fairly common on these models, specifically with these newer engines. They love to leak coolant from different places. This one is leaking coolant again, I noticed, and is leaking from the water pump bracket seal this time. So we're gonna have to replace the water pump, but we're not going to do it this time. We're probably gonna do it in a month or so when the owner is ready to do the job. The valve cover has already been replaced. What was happening, it was leaking oil down from this corner and on the exhaust, and also down on the front on this turbo piping over here in the front, and causing a burning smell. So the valve cover itself, you know, it's typically like other BMWs, like earlier ones. However, the main differences are that with these newer engines, the timing chain is in the back instead of being in the front. So those magnets where you would have over here, very accessible on the N20 engine and 26 engine, with few bolts it would pop out. Now it's in the back and they have to be twisted to be able to get it out. There's a special tool for them to be able to get them out. I don't have that tool. I was able to get them out with my hand twisting, but it is pretty tight and it's not much room to use your hands, and it hurts basically. So other than that, the other big issue and concern I have, not so much of a concern but unhappiness with BMW, is that now you have to remove the injectors to be able to pull the valve cover off, which is, I think, is not good at all, knowing how much BMW loves to leak oil from valve covers and everywhere else. Now you have to deal with injector removal as well while you do that job. And injectors, you do need a special tool to pull them off and pretty much to install them as well. And you need to replace the seals on the tip of the injectors, or you might have fuel leaks, which is dangerous. So to remove the valve cover, you need to remove this pipe, which is actually right there, goes right there. The high pressure fuel pump needs to come off. Also the sensor seals need to be replaced. The fuel line needs to be disconnected and pulled back. The coils need to be pulled out. You need to remove this feed line from the engine block, or the valve cover is going to be in the way, and you need to get a new O-ring. It's a 1 T30 bolt, and this side pulls out fairly easy. Then there are about 15 or 16 bolts on the valve cover itself. There's one hiding in the middle in the back that needs to be unscrewed. It's a E10 torque speed, and then inverted torques. Then you gotta move this wiring to the side, disconnect all these wires, move them to this way, out of your way. Typical stuff. Just the main thing is pulling the injector. Here are the tools that you will need to do this job. Here's the injector removal and installation tool. I got it off of Amazon. It was around $150. It's fairly easy to use. There are videos on how to use them correctly, but it works great. And also, this is the tool to replace the seal on the injectors. This one you will need as well, as you need to replace the seals on them, or they might leak and you can have issues. And here are some of the parts that were purchased: a valve cover and seals. Ignore the battery and the brake pads, those are for a different car. And this is, ignore the wheel. And this is, I also bought a cap for the valve cover where the filler goes, because I like to replace these because sometimes they leak as well. These are the injector seals. You will need 4 of them, and then you need 2 cam sensor O-rings. It's just a drain plug washer, and you will need 2 of these. They go on the magnets in the back in this area from the inside. So you can see the valve cover is out. The gasket was pretty dried out, very flat and dry. As you watch this video, you're gonna see towards the end there's gonna be a time lapse of me doing the job, so please go ahead and watch till the end till you see that as well. Once the injectors are out, it was pretty easy to get this cover off and put it back on. You don't need to remove any of this cowl. Just as long as you remove this area, this cover that has 7 10mm bolts holding it down, you're able to clear it through this part. You don't need to remove these backings. And then to put them back in, you gotta line up the injectors with the new seals in. The way I did it is I put the rail in and slowly worked them in, and it worked out really well. I didn't need to use the tool to push them in, but in some cases maybe you will need to, so pay attention to that and make sure when you start the engine afterwards there's no fuel leaks. Pay attention to that. Hopefully this video is helpful. There are more videos to come. This car is probably gonna be back soon to do a coolant leak repair on it. I'm gonna finish up buttoning up all the rest of the items on it, and it should be done with this car. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.